Fellow viewers of 7 News Television, good afternoon. This is another edition of your favorite program, Experts. The importance of digital economy in our society today can never be undermined. The country or the world has moved from a stage where people used to do business through money or exchange by hand to that of digital system. And Cameroon will not be that country that will be left out in the transformation that is taking place, which we call computerized age. With us this moment, we have an expert in digital economy, the CEO of AdMeUp Digital Academy. He is no other person than Mr. Elias Sobo Tamu. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, televiewers.
Welcome to 7 News.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about the new world, the digital world.
So, talking about the digital world, what is it all about?
Well, as it is known today, the world has changed.
Yeah.
We are getting on a platform where everything is done just by a tap. A tap, I mean by the top of the finger. You know, the word finger came from digits.
Okay.
So when we talk about digital world, if you trace the origin, you go from digits. How man ever started counting.
Okay.
And the internet has brought together the world on one platform. So the advent of the digital economy as it is known today, which is the merging and the convergence of three forms of internet. People need to know that what we call today ICT is what we call the internet of communication, but there are other forms of internet. Okay. These three forms of internet, that is the internet of communication, the energy internet, which Cameroonians and some other people out there will get to know more, and what we call the mobility internet, which is the transport and logistic GPS guided internet. These three forms of internet, they merge and converge on a platform to respectively manage, that is the ICT manages that platform, the energy internet powers that platform, and the transport and logistic or the mobility internet moves that platform. And that platform, which is called the Internet of Things, is literally what we mean by the digital economy.
Here, you are the CEO of an academy, AdMeUp Digital Academy. So what is it all about, and how is this academy helping the Cameroonian society in the digital world?
More and more in the world today, our old school is shifting. If you go to developed countries, you begin to see the creation of digital academies, and you begin to see some of these old schools, some of these old universities being transformed to digital academies. That's because the manner in which we get into a new way of life, a new way of thinking, a new mentality makes us to be able to adapt to a new form of interactions. So when we came about the idea of creating a digital academy in Cameroon, it was because we found out that this was a new kind of school. It is the new literacy, which means if you are out there and you are literate because you are able to read and write, if you are not able to do the same on a digital platform, you become illiterate in the new world. So in our academy, we are making that shift from the old school to the new kind of school where young people can learn professions in the new world. We must understand that the old school has produced all over the world a record number of employed young persons.
Okay.
It is very important. This is simply because the platform on which activities are being carried out, the platform on which business is being done, the platform on which interactions are carried out in our daily lives today has changed. That's why we see a record number of unemployed graduates in the whole world. So it is important for people to know that if you go to school to have a first degree, for example, and you have to study for 3 years, a child or a young person who is undergoing that program, it doesn't mean that the 3 years he is actually studying every day.
Yes,
so in the digital world, courses have been reviewed in such a way that they become very short. For example, if you take a course in any aspect of the digital, a course for 2 months, if you want to extrapolate and map that course on our old school, a young person might be doing that course for 2 months for about a year.
Okay.
So we waste a lot of time in studying in the old school, which has less productivity today. So in the Digital Academy, we are training young persons in new job schemes, in new professions that easily set them into the job market, and most importantly, make them to be able to become their own boss. That is, to have entrepreneurial skills, to be able to start a business just after the training.
That's interesting, Mr. Elias. Coming back to Cameroon,
Yes.
of what importance is the digital economy in our society?
Well, ever since the head of state spoke about the importance of the Digital Academy in Cameroon on the 31st of December 2015, we have really seen some improvements. We have seen so many people in Cameroon since then. It's just almost 2 years getting on the digital platform. But the problem is Cameroonians have been getting on the digital platform and on the entertainment section of the digital platform. Okay. They go online only either to listen to music, to chat with friends, to call friends, to post pictures and videos. I need to inform the public, especially the millennial generation, that is those young people, that the internet is a whole new ground, is a whole new territory where every other person in the world is getting on. Okay. That is where the normal things that we have been doing in our old life will be done, but in a different manner. So, when the head of state spoke about this, we have been organizing conferences. We have been organizing open days. We have been organizing what we call digital career orientation days for young persons in particular. We will see that in Cameroon, people talk about the digital more looking into computers or how to know how to use the computers. I want to make it clear here that computerization was the beginning of this journey. But now we've gotten to a level where to know how to know, say, Microsoft Word does not really make you a digitally apt person. Digital is a whole platform of transaction. Business is being done. I asked the question, when a young person in Cameroon, when you go on a social media website like Facebook,
yeah,
you can share pictures for free. You can chat with friends for free. You can call for free. And you hear that Facebook is the 4th most valuable company in the world. And the CEO and the co-founder or the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, is the richest young man in the world. How does he make his money if he has to give you all that thing for free? So it is important for persons to know that while you are on that platform, which for Facebook today has more than 2 billion persons on that platform in the whole world, that is 1/3, almost 1/3 of the world's population. While you are on that platform doing all these things, what Facebook has done is he has created a marketplace on which he has attracted people by giving them certain things for free or just making a kind of animation on that platform. And while you are there, businesses are paying Facebook for marketing their products to you people while you are on that platform. So while you are there, it is until the moment that you find an advert on Facebook about something which you have been looking for or which is of your interest, and you click on that advert, you go to what they call the landing page, which could be the website or a web page in the website of whoever is placing that advert on Facebook, and they convince you to eventually purchase whatever product or service they are selling, that you will understand that Facebook is a business platform, for example.
Okay.
In Cameroon today, we regret the fact that our schools and the way some professional training schools are being operated, we are very slow in changing our curriculum. Why? Because a medical doctor who enters into our medical school in Cameroon today and who has to graduate in 7 years' time, I'm afraid by the time he leaves school, he might be obsolete, because the digital world has affected every profession, every business. The digital world has come to change everything. Today in the medical profession, medicine is done in a different manner. We talk about connected health, where you have to learn how to be able to use the technological tools and treat patients wherever they find themselves in the world. The future of hospitals, the future of medicine is no more confined in a particular area where you call the hospitals.
Yeah.
A medical doctor right from home can consult and treat patients from far away. And what is more important in the medical technological world, medical digital world, is that aspect of prevention. You know, we go to the hospital only when we fall sick, but if we could prevent falling sick, you can imagine how it will relieve the stress for a very heavy medical health budget for our government. In the digital world, we have technologies that can prevent people falling sick. For example, you have medical sensors that can be implanted into somebody's body, which will be able to prevent you immediately you have signs of cancerous cells being developed. You know, cancer, for example, is easily treated when it is early diagnosed. Same for hypertension. Somebody who collapses while doing sports, for example, and has a heart attack and dies, is because the person could not predict that his metabolism was going, the rate of metabolism was going far up, such that he should have stopped the sports. But with such sensors, you are able to be informed days, weeks, even years before such illnesses appear. So the future of medicine in the digital world will help us prevent more than cure, which is very important.
That sounds very interesting. Specialists in digital academy.
Yes. One other important, go ahead.
Yeah, you've been talking so much about medicine, but I know when you were in your school, you never did anything concerning sciences. How comes that you know so much about this medical aspects in the digital economy?
The digital world is a unified world, and the advantage that young persons or anybody who wants to start a career in the digital has today is that you don't need any prerequisites. You don't need a science background, for example. You don't need to have done mathematics or to have been very good in mathematics in school. You don't need to have certificates in mathematics or physics or whatever. That is the most important thing. Let me come back to explain how the digital world is. The digital world consists of two kingdoms, just like the plant world, where the first kingdom, which is that of technology, the technological kingdom in the digital world, is how to build all this technology, to come up with all these technologies, applications and systems and operating systems that we use to develop other aspects of our life on the digital. Now, for that, you might need some prerequisites. You might need some background knowledge in computer sciences.
All right.
But the transactional kingdom of the digital world, which is more or less digital marketing, which permits all these technological products that come from all these thousands and thousands of high-tech labs all over the world, to get them to actually being used. So how to bring this technology to persons to use? In Cameroon today, we have young persons out there who are doing a very wonderful job, especially around Boya, where they call the Silicon Mountain. These young guys and these young men and women are coming up and developing and building very, very important applications, important into our lives, applications that come to solve very important problems in our lives. But the problem is, no matter how good or no matter how recommended your application is, it has no value unless it is being used. So digital marketing, which is the vehicle that brings this technology to the use by you and me, is very important. If you have an application, the number of persons that can know about that application and effectively download this application in their phones, for example, or on their laptops or desktops, and really use them, that is where you get value for your money. When you hear in the digital a business arena when you hear a giant like Facebook rushing out to buy other smaller giants or other smaller companies like WhatsApp or Instagram. It's because being a giant in the technological world does not suffice. Changes occur every day, and you can wake up one morning and a new technology pushes you out of the market. So it is that fear that makes companies like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, they are always on the outlook to buy any other small company that is coming with an innovative technology that can threaten their life in the digital landscape.
That sounds interesting. The CEO of AdminUp Digital Academy.
Yes.
We all know that the world is rapidly changing, and because of that, we are going to watch a report made by Brice Gozok talking about how Cameroon is moving towards the digital economy. Brice Gozok.
Malgré l'absence décriée des deux principaux opérateurs de téléphonie mobile du Cameroun, lors de ce salon désormais biennal d'échange entre les entreprises du monde, l'engouement n'aura pas tari pour les membres du premier opérateur des services OTT et SDA Mobile Global Telecom Service qui ont tenu en haleine, à la veille de la clôture de ce forum, l'assistance contenue au premier étage dans l'une des salles du Palais de Congrès lors d'une cérémonie de présentation officielle du nouveau réseau virtuel de communication par protocole Internet.
Le réseau Infotel, c'est un réseau virtuel, c'est-à-dire un réseau qui s'appuie sur le réseau Internet, d'accord? Et donc un réseau qui offre d'abord un service de communication à travers ce réseau Internet entre deux personnes, deux personnes physiques, donc avec leur numéro mobile, qui vont utiliser donc notre application Mobinawa. Donc jusqu'à là, c'est donc une application qui fonctionne exactement comme WhatsApp, hein, à ce niveau-là. Mais en plus de cela, un abonné dans notre réseau Infotel pourra joindre un numéro Infotel qui appartient cette fois aux entreprises.
Un service après-vente destiné à faciliter les communications via l'application Mobinawa, téléchargée gratuitement, ouvrant ainsi un large éventail à toute entreprise ou administration afin d'assurer une migration digitale par le biais de 3 principales plateformes regroupées en communication VoIP, en gestion de services clients multicanal et de campagnes de marketing mobile, ceci sans toutefois empiéter sur les autres formes de communication visuelle.
Dans l'économie numérique, ça ne peut pas reposer, hein, la chaîne ne peut pas reposer sur un seul opérateur, sur les opérateurs de mobile. Non, nous venons comme un nouvel opérateur qui, en gros, c'est comme si nous mettons les véhicules dans les routes que les opérateurs de mobile mettent en place.
Une innovation technologique qui vient apparemment redonner du grain au numérique, secteur sur lequel le pays voudrait fortement s'y appuyer pour atteindre son émergence.
Thanks, Brice Gozok, for that wonderful report just made about the digital economy regarding internet. Mr. Elias, you've just followed that report made by Brice Gozok, one of the reporters of 7 News, talking about internet. What do you know about the history of internet?
Well, before I come to that, let me talk about the report we just watched now. The main person talking there was Pierre-François Kamanou, who is the president of what we call REPTIC. It's an association, a Cameroonian association of professionals of the ICT, the telecom, and the digital economy, where I am the vice president. Okay. Well, the history of the internet properly began on the 29th of October, 1969. We celebrated the 13th edition because they started celebrating the World Day of the Internet on the 29th of October 2005, and 29th of October, just about 2 weeks ago, was that International Day of the Internet. So this story began in the United States of America, precisely in California, where there was the first remote communication between 2 computers. That was under the supervision of Leonard Kleinrock, Professor Leonard Kleinrock, who was heading a research team on a project funded by the U.S. Defense called ARPANET. So, after this first communication, the internet history has had many milestones. I will not go to enumerate all the other milestones like the emailing, like the Intel, the microchip. I will just go straight to 20 years after, now in Europe, in what we call the Centre Européen de la Recherche Nucléaire, CERN, where another scientist called Tim Berners-Lee, working in this institution, founded what they call the hypertext markup language and the hypertext transfer protocol that ushered the possibility of the interconnection of all the other niches of networks in the world into what we call today the World Wide Web, what you see, www. That was a very big breakthrough because it is the interconnection of all this World Wide Web that gave the possibility for people to be able to use internet. After 1989, another milestone was in 1993, 4 years after, when researchers in University of Illinois in the United States again put out the first public browser, which was called Mosaic. This public browser gave us the possibility to go on to connect to the internet through the World Wide Web and might be search or talk about something. Now, we have seen that the internet has evolved ever since. Okay. In 1996, the whole world had only about 100,000 websites, which was barely static, not websites as we have today. And those websites were owned by mostly big companies like Coca-Cola without any advertising. And 12 years after the advent of smartphones, that is, we're now in 2008, mm-hmm. The world could count 162 million websites. You can see the big leap. So, with this, it gave the internet another big power to be able to bring more and more people on one same platform for various reasons. So, the future of the internet is not even at this level because we are talking about the Internet of Things. Yes. That is, we are moving to a level where the world, everything in the world is being connected to everything and onto the internet. That has a very huge impact in the way you and I perceive another person, or you and I see or carry out transactions. It is the Internet of Things that is the game changer in this revolution. I will go back a little bit to talk about where we come from, because they always say in our tradition, the Bantu tradition, that to know where you are moving to, you must know where you are coming from. Today we are mostly talking about the third industrial revolution, and if you want to see where it all started, about 300 or 250 years ago, when we had the first industrial revolution, we had three main regimes or three main factors that came together to change the way people lived or to change the way people interacted. The first one was a new regime of communication. The second one was always a new energy regime. Okay. And the third one was a new mobility or transport and logistics regime. In the first industrial revolution, the new communication regime was what we call the print power press. That is when you're a journalist, that is when printed materials could be printed in bulk. Yeah. Because before that, education was reserved for a privileged few, those of a certain level in the society. Because to write and reproduce took a lot of time, what we call the manual printing. Now, when we had the mechanized printing, these documents could be printed in bulk. Okay. Now, it needed people now to learn how to read and write to be able to take advantage of the printed material. It's from there that our first standard and national schools began. That was in France. So they could gather people together, teach them how to read and write, and then it went from there. Now, after the first industrial revolution, I will go to the second industrial revolution, where the communication regime, the new communication regime we had then was what we call the centralized electricity that later on gave birth to the telephone. I bet you, no matter how we perceive the internet and its impact on our lives today, the telephone at its time was a very big magic. I can even say bigger than the internet today, because at that time it was inadmissible for somebody on one end to talk on something and another person miles or thousands of miles away to be able to respond. So that centralized electricity that gave rise to this new communication regime, where I'm talking of the telephone, then later on the radio, and furthermore the television, was the communication revolution in that second industrial revolution. The energy revolution in that time was the cheap oil and gas, cheap Texas oil as they called it, because when oil was discovered in Texas, and scientists in those days found out that it could help to power to power engines and things like that, it became the power of that revolution. Now the mobility revolution came with a German invention of what we call the internal combustion engine, which is what runs in our cars today. Henry Ford, an American, took that German invention and put on wheels, and we had cars and trucks and lorries to move economic activity. So in that one, we had the telephone, the radio, and later on the TV that managed that revolution. We had the oil and gas that powered the revolution or the economy, and then we had the new internal combustion engine that moved business in that revolution. Today we are seeing these three very phenomena coming together in an extraordinary manner. As I said, the ICT, which is the Internet of Communication, which is the new communication regime, and we are seeing the renewable energy, which is forming what we call the energy internet. The renewable energy is more of a sustainable energy. We have them like the solar, the wind, the geothermal, you can name many of them. The importance of this energy is that, for example, the sun will never send you a bill for capturing its rays and transforming it into energy. In certain countries like Germany today, more than 35% of their total energy consumption is renewable. And when I talked about 35% of the German consumption of energy per year, that's an amount of energy that can run the Cameroon's economy for 5 years. All is renewable. In this same Germany, the year 2030, their parliament has voted to stop the production of what we call the internal combustion engines. That is the kind of cars that we have today in our streets. They will no more be produced. They will stop production because already we have electric cars that are coming up strong in those countries. And to talk more about the energy internet which we are having today, more than 2 million homes in this same Germany produce their own electricity. That is, they are becoming what we call smart homes. They produce their own energy. When the home that produces the energy consumes that which it can consume, the extra energy is connected through what we call the energy internet into the grid, the national grid. And what happens? A company in an industrial zone in Germany that needs more energy that it can produce will go on that internet energy, cut part of the energy from that home and use it and pay the person or the homeowner that produces that energy. So it opens a new kind of business, a new job scheme for young persons. So the new industrial revolution has a new form of energy which is ushering what we call the energy internet. Now the communication or the transport and logistic internet is what we know today, the self-drive GPS guided transport and logistics.
Yeah.
If you are watching TV, especially science programs in TV, foreign TVs today, you'll be seeing more and more updates on how cars can drive themselves. So that is the future of our transport and logistics. You will be able to produce through what we call additive manufacturing, erroneously called 3D manufacturing, which is the new industry where from a machine in your home you can produce this glass in good quantity, get the raw materials and you can produce this glass in good quantity, connect to an automated transport and logistics system to take it to your distributors or to the marketplace. So you have less movement. The new world, the digital world, the new industrial revolution is coming to deconcentrate our mega cities. People will not be, will not have to come and congest in Douala or Yaoundé, but you can sit in your natural environment in your village, and you participate equally and satisfactorily to all your economic life and activity. So this new industrial revolution brought by the connection of everything to everything is the future. In Cameroon today, I asked the question why our government is still investing in the old technology. Let me give an example. The Yaoundé-Douala Highway is an ongoing project. It's a new infrastructural project in Cameroon.
Yeah.
This project is going to cost more than 1,000 billion of our CFA francs. We are building a new road in the old technology. It's very risky because we are talking about smart roads, smart homes, smart cities. Because the new cars that are coming up are smart cars. Cars that communicate what we call machine-to-machine communication with all what we call artificial intelligence. A car on that road, you will not hear about accidents like the carnage we have been hearing all every day on our roads. So it is incumbent today to our governments to be able to invest in new technology, because these entrepreneurs, these companies that are building these roads here in their countries, like in China and elsewhere, if there's any project for a new road or a new infrastructure, it is built in the new technology. And what is it all about? It just suffices to implant sensors, what they call in French capteurs, sensors on these roads. There are various forms of sensors, and we can encourage our young persons also to start learning how to make sensors. It's going to tremendously impact our economy.
Your knowledge about this digital world is so broad that I'm even more confused as you are speaking.
Well, that is the amazing thing in the digital. It is every day when you get into the digital world, you become a student for life. You keep learning every day, because we are already there, but every day there's a new technology or a new update that you just sit and say, wow, can this be possible? So it is a world of continuous learning, continuous innovation. And that's why if you stay apart, talking about the connectivity of the world, connected finance, connected health, connected cars and things like that, you must have seen in some industries like the finance industry in Cameroon, what we call fintech, that is technology for the financial sector. Okay. It's a brand new industry, and you will have to see that in our company there are palpable examples. New technologies have come up. I take the case of mobile money. Mobile money has come up and has shifted aside some companies in Cameroon that have been prominent in money transfer in Cameroon. You go to them today, you see that they have practically no customers. But even the mobile money is already under threat. Today, I wonder if the technology companies, the telecom companies that are offering these services, they are aware of the threat. And that is the journey of every company in the digital world. We talk about digital transformation. So,
okay, I heard you talk of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So when you're talking about artificial intelligence, the common man on the streets doesn't understand that. So what is artificial intelligence all about in relation to the digital economy?
Well, just as the word goes, we have natural intelligence, which is what our brain, our natural brain, the brain of the human being can do and can think. Artificial now comes from the fact that with the connectivity of everything to everything, there is a lot of data that will be streaming in somewhere. Let me put it that way. And this huge quantity of data, which has been described as big data, just like the Big Bang, if you know the theory of the formation of the universe, because it's so large that we just give it the name Big Bang, big data. When all this data comes in, because everything is connected with everything, if you have sensors on your body, if you have sensors in your studio, if you have sensors in your cameras, these sensors are picking up information. It might be sensor for temperature, for vibration, for light intensity, for humidity. So all these kind of sensors, they pick up information and send somewhere. So the brain will not be fast enough to be able to interpret all this data in a short space of time to make use of it. So the brain, the human brain has, or let me say some other young person somewhere in the world, they are creating a kind of a program. It's still a computer program, it's still a digital program that can be able to treat this information and not even send it back to the human, but communicating with another machine. Okay. From artificial intelligence, we go to M2M, which is machine-to-machine communication. Yeah. When I talked about the smart roads, what happens is that when a smart car is driving on a smart road, it is communicating with sensors on the road. For example, if there's rain ahead and the road is slippery, the sensors in this car will not need to tell the owner of the car that the road is slippery. You slow down your speed. It will communicate with the road and send, that is a machine to another machine, and then send information now to the brake systems of the car, and the car will automatically slow down at the right speed.
Okay.
If it's a sharp bend, the same. So that is all aspects of an artificial intelligence. Now, when this big data, when this tremendous amount of data is streaming in from everything, from the agricultural fields that monitor the water table, or monitor the heat, or the fertilizers, or whatever you put in the agricultural field, sending all this information. For it to make sense, we need a kind of treatment of this information before we only get, the human brain gets only the results to take certain decisions. So what happens is that when all this data is coming in, it is stored somewhere where we call to the cloud. If you are versed with the internet, you must have been hearing of cloud. You have so many of these companies that they build their clouds. A cloud system is, in a simple description, is just a very big library of information. It's a world, it's a universe of information. That is, if a student in the university, for example, goes to the university library, he wants a book. He goes to the librarian, he requests for the book. The librarian already knows all the positions of books according to topics. So the librarian knows where to go there to pick a book and give and bring to the student. With the cloud and the big data. Big data, when all the sensors send all this information to the cloud, which is that our library. Another job scheme has arrived now, what we call cloud computing. Being able to play the role now of that librarian in the university library. Moving up, this cloud computing permits somebody to go into that cloud, cut the part of data that he needs, and then create the history or create the intelligence or the information behind that data, and you can sell now to companies, because these are business information. These are business intelligences that are sold to companies. So the cloud, as you imagine, it will be a very, very big data bank. But what is interesting in the cloud is that it is not on one particular server that the cloud is. The cloud is a kind of data bank that is distributed all over in various places in the world, such that if there's a crash on one system, because I guess you would have asked the problem of problems of internet. If there's a crash on one part of the earth, might be caused by solar flares or whatever, you cannot still lose all your information. Your information is still there on the other side of the world.
Thanks very much, Mr. Elias Sobotamo, the CEO of AdmiUp Digital Academy, for such a marvelous intelligence you are exposing right away. You know, Cameroon is a country that imports more and exports less. Maybe this is as a result of the fact that the country can't produce goods that can be exported out of the country. So with that, we are going to follow a report by Thierry Eba, a reporter of 7 News Television.
Okay, thank you.
Si de tout temps le débat autour de la dette n'a jamais fait l'unanimité entre différents courants de pensée, les économistes s'accordent tout de même sur des stratégies devant à la fois permettre de gérer la vitesse d'endettement et le recours à l'emprunt. Et cela passe donc par une maîtrise des politiques économiques d'un État et de son économie.
Alors, tant que nous n'arrivons pas, nous ne réussissons pas cette mutation de partir d'une logique d'impôt des systèmes productifs destinés à l'imposition à un système productif destiné au marché global, il est évident que l'appareil productif ne peut pas se développer.
En d'autres termes, pour ne pas être asphyxié par la dette, l'État du Cameroun devrait privilégier la dette bilatérale. Vu sous cet angle, les emprunts obligataires et eurobonds vers lesquels le pays aurait jeté son dévolu sont des dettes nettement plus élevées que des prêts contractés auprès des institutions tels que le Fonds monétaire international, la Banque mondiale, la Banque africaine de développement et bien d'autres.
Je pense que le gouvernement actuel est tout à fait incompétent dans la mesure où il n'a pas la maîtrise de la nouvelle approche économique qui doit prévaloir dans ces circonstances-là. La nouvelle approche économique est adossée dans ce qu'on appelle la valorisation des chaînes ou l'inscription dans les chaînes de valeur mondiales. Les chaînes de valeur mondiales, ça veut dire quand on prend un produit, comme par exemple le coton, entre au moment où on le cueille et au moment où il devient la belle robe que vous avez, il y a un certain niveau de transformation qui sont effectués et qui sont autant de niches de valeur ajoutée.
Orienter les investissements vers des secteurs productifs tout en développant le secteur industriel, en limitant les importations et en aboutissant à la phase de l'industrialisation, semblent être des pistes de solutions que proposent des économistes pour sortir du spirale de la dette.
Thanks very much, Tereba, for that report, talking about importation and exportation of goods that has really dropped the economic improvement of our country. Going back to Mr. Elias, following that report, what can Cameroon really do to come out from this malice?
Well, the first thing in the digital world is that people must get the knowledge. You have to get the digital knowledge. You have to be trained.
Okay.
So what I can advise the government to do is make sure they multiply the number of trainings on the digital in Cameroon. They have to encourage the young persons to get on a career in the digital world. That's the first thing. Now, talking about exports, production, I just spoke about what we call the additive manufacturing, which consists of the production of a good or placing layer after layer of the raw material. Now, elsewhere where digital consciousness is high, young persons, they have their industries in their backyard.
Okay.
With a 3D printer or an additive manufacturing printer machine. There are so many things that a young person can start making. All what you need to do is you create the design. That gives another job scheme for the digital, what they call digital architecture, where you can create the design, say, of this glass. It's a software, it's a soft design. Mm-hmm. So somebody who wants to produce the glass, the design can be there for free, because there are so many hundreds of thousands of these designs that are online for free. You just take it if you have the digital, the 3D printer, and you can be able to produce, because what we have today is a global market, the real global market. Okay. You can produce something. If I have a company right here in Cameroon that produces, say, plastic bowls, yeah, and I want to extend the market to the sub-region or beyond, or to other countries, I will not need to produce here and go and produce and transport over there. I can produce here, sell around here, produce from, say, Libreville and sell around Gabon, produce from South Africa and sell there, okay, through the digital 3D printing, where I just need to put a 3D printer in all these locations, and I can employ somebody right there. We command the production right from here, okay, and the goods come out and they go to the market. So we need to be able to harness the power of the digital in our lives. I always talk to young people today. The old school has outlived its importance. I will not send my child to the old school, to what we call the old universities, because what we have here, you can find out in Cameroon today, for the past years, you find all sorts of universities from abroad coming here. They are coming here because those programs have changed over there. They are sending us old programs that will only pile and compile job seekers of young persons or unemployed young persons in our streets. The industry the industry has changed. Production has changed. We have to digitize our businesses, or we go out of business. It is a reality. So government policy, some other countries in Africa, they already have a ministry of the digital economy. I will not doubt that the head of state does one here in Cameroon, because what happens today is that people are going to telco companies, like telecom companies, to seek for digital solutions. Telco companies like the ones we have here are just service providers of technology.
Okay.
They don't produce. Some telco companies, big names, I don't need to call them, have understood that so many years ago and have created other branches to produce this technology. But what we have here, they are just like sellers of the digital technology. They don't own them per se. They buy them. For example, what does it take for a Cameroonian to create an operating system? An operating system is not like Microsoft. Microsoft was the first computer operating system that was created in the world. That is every computer that came into existence. After, to be able to be functional, you have to be paying Microsoft some money to use their operating system. But this is changing. For mobile, we have the Android, which is an operating system. We have the iOS, which is another operating system. We have the BlackBerry that has its own operating system. So the importance for us in Cameroon is to encourage young people not only to be going on these platforms and doing business, but to be able to create our own platforms. What does it take to sponsor research, to create an operating system, to create an application now that will work on the operating system? That is the game changer in the digital economy, that our country, our government can really encourage young persons.
So you as a specialist, what does it really take to have a platform?
Well, it takes, first of all, change of consciousness. That's where everything begins. I would suggest that the media, like 7 News and other media, should include in their daily programs a slot in the digital to inform the young persons. I was very honored when I was called by 7 News to come to this program to talk about the digital. We need so many of these programs because, as I tell you, the digital economy is so vast, and they are experts in sub-domains. So you have some of them out there that will be very, very happy to share what they have. The digital economy has 3 main economies. We have what we call the sharing economy, and what we call the circular economy, which practically it's what we call the recycling economy. That is recycling of raw materials or recycling of used materials. It has given rise to a new economy called the circular economy, which is gaining boom. We can start doing that in Cameroon. If you go around Cameroon, you will find that people are picking, for example, abandoned metals and selling.
Yeah.
But who is buying that? They are going to a different country where they are recycling. And it is because of the technology brought by the digital economy that all these other sectors are coming up. So we are in a time in history where young persons must get digital consciousness. You go online, search anything you want. If you want to search about me, for example, you can go online, you put my name, you will get information about me. If you want to search about digital economy, you will get enough information. You want to search about programs, there are so many of these online courses that are free on the digital.
Okay.
Yes.
That's something very good to hear. The digital economy is very important in our society. Poverty, especially those living in the rural areas, has been carried by this pandemic of poverty that many people don't know. And we are talking about digital economy. Let's just get through this report made by Brice Gozok talking about the rural environment and poverty. And then we're going to know how the digital economy can help us to ameliorate poverty in the rural area.
Il faut parcourir les localités rurales du Cameroun pour mieux appréhender ces signes palpables de la misère qui sévit au quotidien dans ces ménages, augmentant de façon inéluctable le taux de pauvreté extrême évalué à environ 1 million de personnes chaque année depuis 3 ans, portant celui-ci à plus de 10 millions en 2016, ceci malgré la volonté affichée par l'État de mettre sur pied des campagnes de lutte contre la vie chère ou encore des programmes de valorisation de certaines denrées de grande consommation. Des mesures certes louables, mais insuffisamment à la portée de ceux qui en ont le plus besoin.
Je dirais ces mesures sont en voie, je ne dirais pas d'être réussies ou bien d'être échouées, Mais ces mesures sont en voie et il faut encore beaucoup d'efforts.
Une fresque de la réalité telle que vécue par les usagers en totale inadéquation avec les objectifs visés par le gouvernement, dont les prévisions de réduire de moitié dès 2015 le taux de pauvreté le situant en deçà de 4%, ce qui serait aujourd'hui compromis avec la baisse répétitive du taux de croissance économique du Cameroun, estimé à moins de 4% selon le FMI en 2017, contre 5% en 2016. Chiffre qui laisse entrevoir des signes de crise dans nombre de secteurs de la vie socio-économique du pays.
J'ai même parlé dans vos micros qu'un pays qui a accumulé un tel déficit ne peut pas échapper à la crise. Donc la crise est réelle. Et donc quand le FMI vient, c'est beaucoup plus pour essayer d'atténuer la crise, de regresser l'économie.
Des indications qui n'augurent certainement pas des lendemains prometteurs pour le relèvement du niveau de vie des couches les plus défavorisées du Cameroun.
Thanks very much, Brice Gozok, for that report. Fellow viewers of 7 News, we are gradually getting to the end of this program, Expert. Mr. Elias, how can the digital economy help our people in the rural environment to come out of poverty?
Well, the advent of smartphones is the gateway to open up access or help those people who are in the countryside. You see that today with about 20,000, 25,000, somebody can procure or get a smartphone, which was not the case 10 years ago. So, if you go to these rural areas, Cameroon, the network, for the internet network, is getting bigger and bigger. And we need to be able to bring down the price of cell phones, of smartphones, that's phones that people can use to access the internet. It's lower, that is affordable for people who are in these rural areas. And they can be able to use in many ways. If a farmer, for example, in that area, because of poor roads or because of lack of communication, he doesn't have a communication means, is on, say, Facebook. I just quote Facebook because it's what many people in Cameroon know of. It's on Facebook and he has his crops. Might be he has bags of plantains, bunches of plantains, bags of cocoyams or cassava. Now, just snapping them and putting them on Facebook, if he is trained if he can do that, can help him get the right buyer for his products. The right person now will pay for the transport, come there, buy and collect and go away. Because if you go to these rural areas, all their productions at times get rotten in the bush and they are not able to create value from their work. So that will be able to alleviate poverty in these areas.
Thanks very much, Mr. Elias, for accepting the invitation of 7 News Television.
Well, I think that was my pleasure. I wish 7 News could create this opportunity, put digital slot in their news or in their program so that more and more of young persons will be able to learn about the importance of the digital economy.
Fellow viewers of 7 News, do not go away. You just need to keep on watching 7 News. Followed after Expert is another program anchored by Amang Tepono. Remember, on Thursday, Expert in English, and every Tuesday, you have Takang Bison on Experts. Thanks very much. Fellow viewers, keep on watching 7 News.